Welcome to Blonde Moments, episode 5. This is your host, Kurt. I am joined here today with Ella. Say hi, Ella.
Hi.
Today, on this episode, we're going to be talking about people that are bad for business. Right. So, by bad for business, you could be thinking, oh, well, maybe, your coworker left his coffee out and the customer saw it. I don't know. Maybe there's a spoiled sandwich in the fridge. I don't know. Maybe he's, got a plumber's crack going on. You never know what it could be. But we're specifically talking today about people that are usually friends of yours or a friend of a friend, someone you know and are okay with, that typically get in the way. Like your homeboys, whenever a girl walks in the room, all of a sudden they start becoming comedians. Those guys are bad for business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, out of curiosity, Ella, would you say that you have any friends that you would think would be bad for business?
So I just now thought of it. I mean, we're not really friends anymore because I wanted to stop being friends with her. It's this one girl at the skate park. And I tried so hard to be her friend. I tried so hard to be nice to her because I'm a girl's girl. But this lovely lady, um, like she would be around and my blood would just start boiling because, oh my God, there's so much. So her, she's the same type. So, if there's a guy around, she's automatic, it's just different automatically. And she tried to get with my friend's boyfriend, and oh my God, there's so much. So I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and she's at the skate park, and she acts different with any guy that's around. She basically tries to get with every single guy. And then also I noticed like any guy that she's ever talked to is automatically just somehow a monster, all of them. And then she'll still be talking to them too. She'll be talking to them on the low, and then she talks to other people and says oh, he's so horrible, blah 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 blah. And we tried having her in that skate group chat, and literally she had to get kicked out because so many people wanted her out. She also gets extremely fucked up. Oops, sorry. She also gets really drunk and high. And I don't know if I can say that. Sorry. And she blames everything. She'll be sorry, I was just messed up. Sorry. And then she'll use that to cover all of her actions and give a fake apology, but then continue to act like that constantly. And thinks that once she says sorry for something, that everything's fine, even if she doesn't do anything about it. And she's just trying to say and seem as if she's a good person to everybody whenever everybody clearly can see otherwise.
Right. So, I have a friend just like that, right? And to preface, this friend, on multiple occasions now, has gotten in the way, right? I told him, I said, hey man, this person, kind of digging this person. And he said, all right, cool. So, me being friends with him and me wanting to play everything, nice, cool, I didn't want to just have some one-on-one time. I wanted to hang out as a group. First mistake. We're hanging out as a group. Now, this has happened a few times now. So we're hanging out as a group, and somehow, some way, couldn't tell you, this guy knows something I don't, apparently. He manages every single time to get in the way. And, after the first time, I was like, man, that's unfortunate. And then the second time it happened, I was like, all right, what's going on? And then the third time, I was like, all right, okay, whatever. This guy just, he's bad for business. He sucks. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to name specific names, but we'll call this guy Jay. So Jay and we were hanging out with this one girl in particular. We'll call her A. So me and A are texting, and things are going pretty great. You know, there's not really like a super serious vibe, but definitely a friendly vibe. And, you know, I was like, yeah, this is cool. Someone I can talk to, whatever. So I said, hey, let's hang out. So A said, yeah, like I'll be off of work in a short little bit. So me and Jay decided that we were going to go hang out, do whatever. And afterwards, we were going to go pick A up and hang out with her. So we end up at her work to go pick her up. And I noticed that J and A were hitting it off pretty well. Now, mind you, this is after I told him, hey, like, you know, I'm inviting you so that we can all hang out, but do keep in mind, I'm kind of interested in A. So, like, you know, just kind of keep your distance, you know what I'm saying? Be there, hang out, have conversation, but just keep your distance. You know, everything will be smooth. What does this dude do? Jay decided he was not gonna keep his distance, and then they hit it off real well. And I noticed, I picked up on it. So instead of, you know, doing anything about it, I was just like, all right, I'll see how this plays out. So I let it play out, and it ended up like within the next week, Jay and A ended up hooking up, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Then, the most recent time, I was talking to someone. The vibes were definitely there. There was definitely vibes there. We had went and hung out, and for, you know, the sake of simplicity, we'll call this person E. So myself and E, you know, we're hanging out with E's little brother and friend because E was trying to hook up her little brother and her friend, right? So I'm just kind of sitting back trying to help her, you know, get the ball rolling for them. So we're doing like this little kind of double date type deal. And, you know, everything's going great. I ended up like pretty much staying the night, right? And then I left in the morning and went and did my thing. Well, the next day, we all went and hung out, and it was me, E, E's friend, and Jay. Now, Jay does have an ex-girlfriend. She currently is expecting, right? So keep this in mind. I tell Jay what's going on, and he had told me, he was like, oh yeah, you know, like she's not really, you know, my type or anything like that. She's not really that attractive, you know. Like you got that all day, buddy. And I said, bet. I was excited, right? So we all go and we all hang out. Now me, I like to skate. Jay also likes to skate, so we go to the skate park and we're all hanging out. So the ratio is 3-2. It's me and Jay, E, you know, Jay's ex, and E's friend. And we're all hanging out. Everything's going great. Well, then at the end of the night, whenever we parted our separate ways, mind you, I had to drive to take E and E's friend back home. And Jay and his ex, they went out and like had dinner or something like that. But at the end of the night, whenever we left, we all exchanged contact information. And by we, I mean Jay. And the following day, I text Jay, you know, because he had texted me. I had just woken up. I was about to get ready for work. And he told me that he stayed up all night talking to E. And I was like, hold on. What do you mean you stayed up all night talking to E?
And this was the same girl that he said he found unattractive, or is that his ex?
No, this is the same girl he said he found unattractive.
Mm-hmm.
That I told him I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, like we were, talking all night, this and that, just getting to know each other. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, then I text E, and I get left undelivered.
Mm.
And then about 5 minutes, like it had been like an hour, and I checked again, and it had said that she had read it at like 5 minutes prior. And so I was like, okay. So then I waited half of a day for a response. Nothing. So then I kept texting. I was just like, hey, did I do something? Or like, like what's going on? You just all of a sudden the vibe changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she sent me, she sent me a text basically saying like, oh, like, I changed my mind. I'm not really interested, this and that. And meanwhile, the whole time, she didn't know, but Jay was telling me that, like, they were hitting it off.
Uh-huh.
I texted her and I said, hey, you have fun hanging out with Jay. And she, I guess she didn't like that, but I didn't stick around to find out. I blocked her, and yeah, it was frustrating. I was really frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because E was actually pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? At least seemed pretty cool. And like, I don't know, just felt like a little bit of a backstab. You know? You've got someone you've been friends with for years, and you're like, hey, dude,
your wingman.
yeah, it's supposed to be my wingman. And what he's doing is he's wingmanning them under and into his wing. It's like, all right, dude, that's not how wingmanning works.
Definitely not.
Tell you what, though, this was any other situation, I'd probably want him to wingman for me, depending on what it is. Like if I get myself in a sticky situation or a pickle, and I'm like, hey man, I need you to hold this for me. I know he's not going to lose it. I just got to tell him I don't want to lose it, and then he'll take it from me. But, aside from that, there's many instances, some that are way worse, that other people have gone through where they have friends that are also bad for business. Girls especially, dude, girls are so bad about that. I've had a few. Like I was with someone. We're gonna call her H. And H was not the greatest person to be with, but I was with her for a while. And her friend, we're gonna call her T, decided that all of a sudden she just liked me just because I was around, I guess. So whenever me and H finally, broke up and I'd said I had enough, I was tired of it, T didn't even hesitate. Within the next week, she was already, hey, like, can we hang out, this and that? And I was like, sure, cool. And then me and T got together and we stayed together for, even longer. But like, some people, man, some people are just bad for business. But I would also like to say that some people are really good for business. Like, you have people that are bad for business, people that like you bring around your friends, and you're worried that the person you're talking to is gonna find your friend, more attractive or whatever else, right? Then you also have people that like you can bring them, your friend or whoever, you can bring them around people you're interested in, and for a fact that whoever you're interested in isn't gonna think twice. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people just have those friends that may not act the greatest or may not look the greatest. Or sometimes they may not smell the greatest. But I have some pretty I have a pretty good range. I have some friends that are bad for business. Although I will say Jay, he's not even bad for business. He's horrible for business. I can't bring him around anybody.
My question is how, after everything with that friendship and how it's been affecting things, how do you remain friends with this person?
I think it's more so that like yeah, he might be bad for business, but that like as much as it's a pain in the ass and as annoying and frustrating as it is, that's kind of just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, anybody that I bring around Jay that he's able to swindle out from under my nose isn't worth my time. Because if not Jay, swindling him from under my nose, then who else? So
it's one of those things where like, bad things can happen for a great reason. And sometimes people in your life help show you who shouldn't be in your life. Also, it's almost like a test, and like that friend is almost the test.
But I would say that like I do have a good balance. I have a good select, few friends that I'm scared to bring them around certain people, and then I have those select friends where I'm just like, oh, I've been talking to this girl for a few weeks now. Yeah, yeah, we can all hang out, because those people are good for business. Because then you get around those friends, and then the person you're talking to looks at you and they're like, huh, your friends suck.
See, so bad friends can also be good for business in ways as well.
Yeah.
Now, have you talked to that specific friend, Jay? I know that you've been open about, like, hey, don't do this. But have you talked to them about, like, specifically being like, hey, you keep doing this? Like, or do you, did you confront, or do you just take it in, take the information that you were shown and keep that in your mind and just go along with, what you've been shown by that person? Or do you confront them?
Oh, I definitely confronted Jay. I definitely had some words to say, and I told him how I felt about it, and I was also like frustrated. So in my mind, I had formed like an idea of what was happening when it came to Jay and A. And so because of that, it was just like I'd already had it in my mind of what was going to happen because I know how Jay is, and I was really more frustrated about that. But I was fortunate enough to, whenever I talked to Jay and I told him what I was thinking and how I felt about it, he reassured me very extensively, even with evidence that it wasn't what I thought, or it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me feel a little bit better about the situation. But it was still frustrating regardless, because it's just like, just a hassle, you know?
And it's difficult whenever it's people that you trust in so many other ways, and you form such connection with, and they've been such a huge part of your life. And for me, it gets difficult when I have friends that have been my friend for so long, and after time, I keep noticing things or I keep seeing things. And for me personally, at least, it can be hard sometimes. Like, I'm not the best with confrontation, or if I do, I'm like, I think very carefully about everything I say, because I don't want to be too rude, I guess, even though sometimes I should be. But for me, it's sometimes hard because I care so much about people, and it's really hard. Like, no matter bad things that I'm shown, it's kind of the rose-colored glasses, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
To where, and you let something, you let things slide in your mind. But that's what I struggle with, is like the balance of that, and like being like, hey, something's bothering me again and again and again. But it's like, in my mind at least, I'm like, what's more important? And sometimes I do wake up and I'm like, no, this is too many times. This is, too many things that I don't agree with as a person. And even though it's somebody I love dearly, but in my head, sometimes I'm like, oh damn, I'm starting to change how I view you. Like, you have made me rethink why I'm friends with you. Oops, sorry. My mic was a little old.
But yeah, that makes sense.
That girl that I was talking about, oh yeah, I'll give a code name. We'll call her In. And huh?
I was chuckling.
Oh. And like, there's also, I do want to say also, this is kind of slightly off topic but also connected, is there's also well, I guess, sorry, I'm trying to think. So like, for this girl, there's a lot of girls also to where, and I know this from being a girl, obviously, like, somebody's boyfriend will be in your DMs constantly trying to hit on you. Clearly you can read the text. Anybody can read the text and be like, are you blind? Like, clearly she's not really rocking with you, dude. And like, don't you have a girlfriend? And it's their partner continuously doing that. And some girls and guys too, but again, I'm speaking from being a girl and having girlfriends, and they get mad at you, even though you are like not, you're like, no, 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 and their partner keeps trying. You're like, dude, like, first of all, get your man or your partner or whoever to stop bothering me. And the girl or whatever will get mad at you, even though their boyfriend is like trying to hit on you and failing horribly. Like, I've had girls try to fight me for their boyfriends trying to hit on me, and me like not even like wanting to be friends with their boyfriend at all. Like, I hate their boyfriend and I think they're a horrible person. And like, I've lost friends over that, which again, it's like God is like, kind of putting that in your life. Like, some things happen for a reason and to show like people's true colors. But like, I've been the one, because again, like I said, I'm a girl's girl. And like, so if somebody hits on me and I'm going looking through the profile, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you have a girlfriend. Don't you have a girlfriend? And you go tell their girlfriend. And I've had like girls like, hey, your boyfriend, like, hey, I'm really sorry. I just want you to know, like, your boyfriend clearly doesn't care about you, and they will like get mad at you for like telling them because they are one blinded in the relationship, and some people in relationships, especially horrible ones that you know are horrible for them and everybody else, and they'll basically lose everyone fighting for a relationship that isn't even fighting for them. And
Yeah.
that's what I noticed.
Yeah, that makes sense. It definitely is like that. There's a lot of people out there that, oddly enough, it does tie in because those people are also bad for business, and you can just tell, you know what I'm saying, by the way that they're trying to, hit you up or whatever else. Like you just know those people are bad for business. Those are the same people who just don't care and will go after anything. And so, like, it doesn't matter if y'all are friends or not, or whoever they're friends with, they do not care.
Or how long you've been friends or nothing. And I would say that, I mean, with those people, like, it's definitely a weakness within themselves. For sure.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
But it's like that, that's just how it is. But on the flip side, again, there's, those people that are good for business, people that are bad.
Definitely. And I'd say if you find the right people, the ones who are good for business almost completely overtake or fill in for those who are bad for business. Sometimes you have people that are so great that you're like, okay, this person is so great that it's okay if some of my other friends are like not high grade at all.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes complete sense.
Now, okay, can we switch gears a little bit? And we've talked about friends, partners, just mutual people. What about family that's bad for business?
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a whole other boat to dive in.
I'm going to name names here. I don't even care, dude.
Let's
I got
do
an
it.
uncle. I got an uncle. He's related to me, like, through marriage.
Mm-hmm. Rat him out. Let's go. Let's hear it.
His name is Josh.
Fuck Josh.
He's terrible for business.
Sorry for my language. My bad.
Oh, you're good. He's just terrible for business.
And in what ways is he terrible for business?
Same way that Jay is.
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
For me, I have a weird one. It's those people that like. Now again, I'm very open to religion. Definitely. But I have this one relative, also an uncle, and God-fearing man, right? And talks to me so funny, like everybody, and he'll be saying, "Oh, like I'm praying for you, God's face upon you, Ella," like all of it, and just things that could be really nice, and like, "Oh, that's great, you're praying for me, how lovely," but you can tell that something's off, like the words seem fake. And I feel like with religion, I at least see that often. People who on the front, they go to church, their church loves them, whatever. They're supposed to be seen as a good partner, good parent, everything. And there's definitely skeletons buried in their closet. But I feel like people can use religion or their beliefs in general, sometimes even their morals, as an excuse, or their morals, quote unquote, as an excuse not an excuse, but as a cover for all of the skeletons buried in their closet. Yes, I do this and I do this and I do this, and I'm pretty much a horrible person, but but I'm a God fearing man, you know. And my uncle that I have, you know, I feel like a time where you see that people are bad for business. One specific way is when there's death around. Death can bring out the worst in people, even though you would hope in a situation like that it wouldn't. But it always seems to come out. And my uncle, before, so, okay, so it's my father. My father passed away last year, right?
Mhm.
And it's his brother and then his sister, my aunt and my uncle. They're the only ones that I have living anywhere near me, pretty much. And before, my aunt was always kind of seen as the super crazy one, and she's just off the raw, you know, off the wall. And my uncle, he had a interesting past, definitely, but you know, now he's a God fearing man, right? And he was the calm one because my aunt struggled with mental illness, and he definitely is crazy sometimes. But I find like, and I've also literally gotten damn pretty much in a physical fight with her also. But you know, so I've had, you know, some hate towards her, but and I, you know, my uncle was kind of neutral. He was like, hey, he's a little off, but like he's nice, right? Well, after my grandma died, very recently, my view completely switched because he, you know, again, and he's trying to manipulate the situation, even, and I don't even think he knows it, but you know, where it's again that cover of trying to, you know, and it's not even, I don't think it's meant to be manipulating, but some people like are truly fed by their own delusions, and they think that they are such a good person, and they can't even see that all of their words come across as so fake, and that's something that like really bothers me for some reason. I just can't do that. I'm very friendly overall, very, very friendly. And I, you know, I like to talk to people, you know, cool. But even, and I'll keep it cordial with people I don't like. I'm still going to be nice because it's cool. Like, it's fine. I'm never that mad unless I am. But it's just a different level of fakeness, you know? Don't say these things if you don't mean it. And then you get to truly see their character. Like my uncle, it was all of a sudden nice, and you know, then it comes to, well, my grandma died, right? So there's a bunch of things that need to be taken care of and sold, and there's money to be gifted from a will that my father would have been a part of, who died last year. My father was the only one with kids and was the only one who like got married, you know, did all this stuff, had his own business, you know, he was a mechanic, and he did all these things, and he went to um, some type of biology, like medical type of school. Um, you know, so he did a lot right, even though he struggled himself. But my uncle were a little different. Well, apparently, and this isn't my uncle's fault, but it came out in the will that my uncle, because I was asking my uncle, like, so are we getting anything from my dad's share of the will? And it's like as soon as I asked any question about that or started to question him and his dealings with death and this particular situation, it was like a switch so fast. All of a sudden, that fakeness, you know, hidden by his great religion and him being such a great person, just clearly came out, and it was just really interesting to see his like attitude switch so fast. Like, I thought you were praying for me. I thought God's faith was upon me. You know, so I feel like people that are bad for business sometimes think that they're wonderful for business.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was a little bit of
No, you're good.
out of topic.
Do you would you say you have any other experience with people being bad for business?
Let me think.
More specifically, like just friends.
Yes. Trying to think. Oh, yeah. Um, this person, it's a girl, but we're gonna call her Abe, like Lincoln. And we've been friends for years. I've done everything for every single one of her birthdays. She's never really done anything for mine. Actually ruined one of my birthdays. And she thinks that she's such a good friend and is such a good person. And but then it's that same thing where whenever other people are around and somebody starts, being rude to me, especially if it's a guy for some reason. She has a boyfriend also who's currently locked up and also treats her horribly and low-key beats on her. Anyways. But like around a guy and like, just our friend or whatever. But still, if they start, coming on to me and like as a friend, like if I was truly wrong, then sure. But, it would be a situation where I'm just kind of getting like eaten alive. Like, people are, coming at me and she will like play both sides, but like really kind of be ready to just leave me behind. And she's also like stolen from me and just a lot of things. But I find that like whenever I need her, and especially around other people, she won't stick up for me, won't like, and like, yes, remaining neutral, sure, but some people remain neutral and it is bad for business because they're not doing the things that they should or sticking up for the things that they should, or they're just trying to keep that neutral and it's supposed to be like keeping the peace, but in reality they're kind of adding on to the situation by not saying anything.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like it's just one of those things that happens.
Definitely.
It's not great. It doesn't feel great. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes I take a step back and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Especially if things are like piled on, it's like so many things adding up, and then at one point you're just like, that's it, stop.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. People are weird.
Definitely, but again, at least people that are bad for business, again, like it kind of shows you their true colors, and eventually people will reveal themselves no matter how they try to hide it.
Well, see, but like with certain people, right? For example, like Jay specifically, he knows he's bad for business, and he knows that he's not the greatest of people. He just doesn't care. To him, an easy target is an easy target. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's just frustrating because like it's so much harder for people who genuinely care and like
Oh, definitely.
are gonna be like a just a straight up piece of shit. And it's like he's just all willy nilly and doesn't give a fuck. So it's just frustrating.
Carelessness.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Thank me too, I guess. Yeah.
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 Swag. Well, thank you for speaking today. Thank my manager for letting us do this episode. Thank the listeners for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.